When CBS announced the end of young Sheldon, fans were left scratching their heads. Sure, shows come and go, and even the most beloved series eventually bid farewell. But with the recent ratings success of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, a spin-off rooted directly in the legacy of young Sheldon, the cancellation of the original series now feels more like a riddle than a natural conclusion. The quiet giant, that was young Sheldon. For years, young Sheldon carried the torch of the Big Bang Theory with unexpected grace. Initially met with skepticism, could a prequel centered around a socially awkward 9-year-old Texan genius work? The show gradually evolved into a warm, nostalgic family drama, layered with humor and heart. Viewers tuned in not just for Sheldon's quirks, but for the deepening arcs of his family. Missy's rebellion, Mary's struggle with faith, George Sr.'s silent burdens, and notably, Georgie Cooper's slow transformation from slacker brother to a man with depth. By season 7, it wasn't just about Sheldon anymore. The Cooper family had taken center stage, and Georgie, in particular, had undergone one of the most profound character evolutions. Enter Georgie and Mandy, underdogs to fan favorites. What started as a surprising teenage pregnancy subplot soon became one of young Sheldon's most compelling storylines. Georgie and Mandy weren't supposed to work. She was older, more mature, and seemingly out of his league. But somewhere between late-night arguments, diaper duties, and awkward family dinners, the two developed an authentic connection that audiences couldn't ignore. The chemistry between Montana Jordan, Georgie, and Emily Osment, Mandy, was undeniable. Osment, who had long since shaken her Disney roots, brought a grounded, layered performance to Mandy, while Jordan played Georgie with a mix of good OL boy charm and growing maturity. Their dynamic offered something young Sheldon hadn't explored deeply before, a young couple trying to build a life together, imperfectly but earnestly. It was no surprise when CBS greenlit a spin-off. What was surprising was how quickly it became a ratings darling. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage surges. Launching in a post-young Sheldon time slot, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage was designed as a spiritual continuation of the original series. Set in early 2000s Texas, the show leaned into its sitcom roots while carrying the emotional maturity young Sheldon had slowly cultivated. Gone was the multi-perspective family ensemble. Now the focus was tightly on two young parents navigating adulthood, bills, parenting, in-laws, and the ever-looming specter of what if we're not ready? And viewers ate it up. Within its first 3 episodes, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage outpaced expectations, drawing in both longtime young Sheldon fans and new audiences. Ratings soared. Critics praised its blend of old-school sitcom charm and modern emotional nuance. Audiences loved seeing a functional but flawed young couple on screen, one that felt refreshingly real. Mandy wasn't a saint. Georgie wasn't a screw-up. They were simply learning, together. And then came the shocker. Why cancel the show that birthed this success? Timing is everything. Or is it? The announcement of young Sheldon's end came just before season 7 premiered. At the time, CBS framed it as a natural conclusion. Sheldon would be heading off to Caltech soon, and tying things up in line with the Big Bang Theory timeline seemed narratively clean. But now, in light of Georgie and Mandy's explosive debut, fans and industry insiders alike are questioning whether it really had to end. After all, if the Cooperverse is still thriving, and perhaps even expanding, why shutter the series that made it all possible? Some believe the decision may have been premature, driven more by a desire for narrative symmetry than audience demand. Others point to behind-the-scenes factors, contract negotiations, budget considerations, creative burnout. Still, those explanations feel thin in comparison to the raw numbers and cultural momentum. The Cooper family, too big for one show? Another theory? Maybe young Sheldon outgrew itself. What started as a show about a boy genius quietly became a show about a family in transition. The ensemble was too strong, the arcs too compelling. Viewers wanted more Missy, more George Sr. and Mary, and obviously more Georgie and Mandy. The problem wasn't a lack of story, it was an abundance of it. By ending young Sheldon, perhaps the creators aimed to decentralize the narrative. giving individual characters their own spotlight rather than stretching them thin in one crowded show. If that's true, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage may be only the beginning of a new era of Cooper-centric stories. Imagine a future miniseries about Missy in college, or even a flash forward to Sheldon and Amy raising their own family. If CBS is smart, and their ratings suggest they are, we could be looking at a full-fledged Cooperverse, each thread as strong as the one before it. What this means for TV spin-offs. TV history is littered with failed spin-offs. For every Frasier or Better Call Saul, there are a dozen forgettable shows that tried to capitalize on a successful parent series and fizzled out. But Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is shaping up to be a rare exception, one that not only stands on its own, but enhances the show that came before it. It makes young Sheldon's end feel less like a curtain call and more like a relay handoff. But it also begs the question, did it have to be now? A bittersweet farewell. Ultimately, the shock of young Sheldon's cancellation lies in what it could have continued to be. The show still had room to grow, stories to tell, and an audience more engaged than ever. But perhaps the greatest testament to its success is that its characters now live on in new forms, not as shadows of their former selves, but as vibrant, complex people whose stories resonate just as deeply in new settings. Georgie and Mandy were never supposed to be the stars. But in love, as in television, sometimes the best pairings are the ones that surprise you. And maybe, just maybe, young Sheldon didn't end too soon. Maybe it just gave us a new beginning.